What we're going to be doing now is entering our old service tickets into the system, and there's a couple different scenarios that we're going to have to go through just to make sure that we cover all the different possibilities. You're not going to be doing all of these. You're going to pick one of them to actually follow the process, and it will depend on a couple factors that we'll cover in a second. Before we get started, though, what we want to do is we're going to actually come over here to Settings. We're going to go to General, Payment Methods. What is going to happen in most cases, in most dealerships, when you start entering in your service tickets or your special order parts, in a lot of those scenarios, you have already collected money from the customer. And that money has already been recorded in your old business system. And we do not want to record it again inside of Lizzy. But we do want to make sure that we have a credit that's associated with that particular invoice so that when they eventually come pick the parts up or eventually come get their service, pick up their unit, the credits that they had paid will be there for them to use for that particular invoice. So in order to do that, the quickest way to do it is to come over here to the payment methods section, and we're going to create a new payment method, and we're just going to call it old customer credits. We're going to pick a category here for dealer promo, and we're going to pick any image you want to. I would just probably come down and pick miscellaneous 10 or something that you want to use for it. We're going to pick the owner's equity account. So we're going to come down here and pick our owner equity, wherever it is, right here. So we're going to pick our owner equity account because eventually this is going to get adjusted wherever it needs to go. But thinking about this, it's money that's already been collected, so it's already equity in the company, and so it's just the easiest way to do it is to pick that account. It's going to be active. We don't care about collect signature, and we're going to tell it to add that particular payment method. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to start putting our service tickets in. And to get started, everything is going to be the same. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here to invoicing. We're going to click on new invoice. We're going to locate the customer that we want to actually create the invoice for. I'm just going to pick one here. And actually, I'm sorry, we're doing service tickets. Let's ignore that. We're going to come down here to service tickets, create a new service ticket. I'm going to tell it to use the current one this time. And so now we're on our new service ticket. The first thing, add the unit that we're going to work on. I'm just going to choose one from an existing customer, but in your case, you'll have to enter in the VIN or serial number up here. But you'll get the unit on the service ticket. Now that we have the unit on here, we're going to add parts to it. And so we're going to select the plus sign here to add the first job. And so we'll just say that this is a tune-up. And you can type in, whatever needs to go here for the service required. We're basically mimicking the open service ticket that we have. And it really doesn't matter if we've already completed this service ticket or whether we're just working on it. Now, the thing is if you've already completed it, then there's a little bit different process that you're going to go through at the end. But again, this part of it, the idea is to try to mimic the original service ticket so that when the customer comes to pick up the service ticket, you're going to cash them out of Lizzy, not out of your old business system. So because there may be additional money involved, probably is. And so we want to be able to cash everything out of Lizzy going forward. So we want this to be the final printed service ticket that they're going to get. So it really doesn't matter if it's open, if it's open, finished, whatever, they could have just brought in today. This process is going to be the exact same. So we're going to save the job. Now we're going to add the parts that were on that particular job. And so I'm just going to select something here, and I'm going to start off with something that is not in stock. So we're just going to select this, and we're going to tell it to add and close. Now, and somebody has messed with my part, so let me find a different part that actually has a distributor on it, or a supplier rather. Okay, so there's two scenarios. There's really three scenarios, but we'll get into the third one in a moment. The first scenario is that I do not have this part. It's not here. It's not in stock. What is going to happen in that scenario is I'm pretty much finished right now because we should have already created our open purchase orders that have not arrived yet. This part is not in stock, and so it should be on one of those orders. And because those orders already exist over in the purchase order section, Lizzy has already attached this part to one of those inbound orders. So if the part is literally still on order, we're done. We don't have to do anything at all. The second scenario is that the part is in stock. It was already in stock and it has been attached to the service ticket already. This may be a situation where we've already finished the service ticket and we're putting in a finished, completed ticket. So in that particular situation, there are one of two things that need to happen. First of all, you look like this. In other words, your inventory has not been done yet. And so Lizzy is expecting you to either order the part or click the red button here to adjust the part into inventory so that you can then assign it or consign it to this particular invoice or service ticket. So in that case, I hit the red button, I put in one, and you'll notice that it will remove it from the purchase order that it had previously put it on. It has put it in stock, delivered it to this purchase order. So Lizzy's done everything you need to do. So in the first two scenarios, one, I don't have the part and it is on an order, leave it alone. Two, I do have the part and it's already assigned to the service ticket, so click the red button and tell it that it's okay and let it do its thing. The third scenario is a little bit more complicated, but it only involves customers that are converting their old business system into Lizzy. And even then, you need to ask a question. And the question is, in your old business system, when you put that part on the service ticket, did it reduce your inventory quantity when it put it on there? Because if you think about it, you have exported your entire inventory to Lizzy. And so if your old system said you had 5, but 2 of them are actually allocated to service tickets, but your old system didn't allocate them, it left them showing up as in stock, then you're quite literally going to do nothing again. You're going to click the green button when you add the part in here. In this situation where, and just to show you what I'm talking about by the green button, let's go back up here and we'll add another part. I'll try to find one that I actually have in stock here. So this part is in stock. So we're going to add this to the invoice or to the service ticket. And notice that we have a green button that shows up here that if I click it is going to allocate that part to this invoice or this service ticket. And so the question is did the old system allocate it and put it toward this service ticket, or did it leave it in inventory? If it left it in inventory, there's going to be an orange button that shows up here as well. So we have a green and an orange button, and it only shows up when you're doing your initial setup. But the orange button basically says, look, my old system did allocate this thing to the service ticket already. So the 5 parts that I gave you really are what's on the shelf. I have 2 more of those. I've got 7 total in inventory, but the other 2 were already allocated to a service ticket in the old system. In that case, I'm going to click the orange button, which will tell Lizzy, go put it into stock, put 1 in stock, and then pull it back out of stock and allocate it to this service ticket. So it doesn't change the current inventory value that you have in your inventory section. The green button says, look, my old system did not previously allocate it, and therefore I want you to pull one of those 5 and allocate it to this ticket. Now, again, this only happens if we do a full conversion for you and we have pulled in your inventory. So don't worry about it in any other situation. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and tell it to allocate this. And so the final step is that did the customer actually pay us anything when we brought this ticket in or at any time afterwards? Because we want to record that money into Lizzy so that when they come pick up their service ticket, the money is actually allocated to this ticket properly. So to do that, we're going to click right here at the bottom of the service ticket. We're going to create a deposit. The system comes up and wants to know how we're going to pay, and we are going to choose the payment method for that old customer credit that we created in there. In this case, we create it with a 10 icon. It could create it with anything you want. But that's what we're after. We're going to tell it to create that with that particular amount. We're going to enter in the amount of the deposit that they had paid. We're going to leave everything alone down here. We want it to be linked to a specific invoice. This is the service ticket we just got through creating, and we're going to tell it to pay. And actually, we need to select a department. And if you're not using departmental accounting, which most people are not when they're doing the conversion, this really isn't important up here at the top. You won't even see it. So at this point, when I view that service ticket, we have got our $25 deposit is now associated with this ticket. We have our parts on the ticket that we had previous to in the old system, and everything is good to go with this ticket. And now we're just going to go on to the next ticket.